Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're a college basketball fan, especially a women's basketball fan, you're probably feeling the same simmering anger I am right now. We need to talk about ESPN. Again, it seems like they just can't help themselves when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Look, I've been following college hoops for decades. I've seen legends rise and fall, dynasties built and crumble. I thought I'd seen it all, but what ESPN is doing to Caitlin Clark's legacy, it's beyond the pale. It's not just a bad ranking. It's a deliberate act of disrespect, bordering on sabotage. They dangle her name in the title, baiting you in, knowing she's the biggest draw in the sport. Then, bam, they yank the rug out from under you. She's not even on their list of the top 5 greatest women's college basketball players of all time. Seriously? This isn't just about one player. This is about the integrity of sports journalism, about recognizing true greatness, and about calling out blatant hypocrisy when we see it. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into ESPN's agenda, exposing their double standards, and defending the legacy of a player who has single-handedly revolutionized the game. Before we dissect ESPN's specific ranking, let's establish a baseline. What actually makes a college basketball legend? Is it purely championships? Is it individual brilliance? Is it impact on the sport itself? The answer, of course, is a combination of all three. You can't deny the importance of team success. Winning a championship is the ultimate goal, but it's not the only metric. If it were, we'd have to erase countless iconic players from the history books. Think about Larry Bird at Indiana State, a transcendent talent, a national phenomenon, but no title. Does that diminish his legacy? Absolutely not. Or Pete Maravich at LSU, dropping 44 points a game, a human highlight reel, but again, no championship banner. Were they not great? Even within women's basketball, consider Cheryl Miller at USC, dominant, yes, but her teams, despite their talent, never reached the ultimate peak. Is she not considered a legend? ESPN knows all of this. They know that championships aren't the sole determinant of greatness. Yet, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, suddenly the rules change. Suddenly, a championship ring is the only thing that matters. This is where the hypocrisy starts to stink. ESPN's argument is that Clark lacks a championship, and therefore, she can't be in the top 5. Let's dissect this claim. Is it fair? Objective? Let's start by putting them under the microscope. How many of those players had the luxury of playing on stacked, powerhouse teams from day one? How many inherited a winning culture, a well-oiled machine? And how many, like Caitlin Clark, had to build something from the ground up? That's the crucial difference here. Clark didn't just join a championship contender, she created one. She took a program that had been largely irrelevant for years and dragged them, kicking and screaming, to back-to-back national championship games. That's not just impressive, that's miraculous. Consider the context of Iowa's program before Clark arrived. They were a good team, yes, but not a national powerhouse. They hadn't reached a Final Four in decades. They weren't attracting top-tier recruits. They were, frankly, an afterthought in the national conversation. Clark changed all of that overnight. She brought a level of excitement, a level of buzz that Iowa basketball and women's college basketball in general had never seen before. She filled arenas, shattered records, and turned casual fans into die-hard Hawkeyes. To ignore that transformative impact, to reduce her entire career to a lack of a championship ring, is not only intellectually dishonest, it's a disservice to the sport itself. ESPN is hanging their hat on this championship argument, but it crumbles under the slightest scrutiny. Let's play a little game of comparison. Who are we talking about? Player is Caitlin Clark. Player B could be several players on ESPN's list. Now, I'm not saying that Player B's accomplishments are meaningless. Far from it. Winning championships is incredibly difficult, and it requires a tremendous amount of talent and teamwork. But the context matters. Player B had the advantage of playing in a system designed for success, surrounded by elite players. Player A had to carry the weight of the entire program on her shoulders. Think about it this way: if you put Player A on Player B's team, would they have won even more championships? Probably. But if you put Player B on Player A's team, would they have achieved the same level of individual and team success? I seriously doubt it. This isn't about diminishing anyone's accomplishments. It's about recognizing the unique challenges and circumstances that each player faced. And in Clark's case, those challenges were immense. Beyond the stats and the championships, there's another crucial element to consider: impact. How did a player change the game? How did they influence the culture? How did they inspire the next generation? This is where Caitlin Clark truly separates herself from the pack. Before Clark, women's college basketball was a niche sport, appreciated by a dedicated fan base, but largely ignored by the mainstream. Clark changed that in an instant. She brought a level of excitement, a level of viewership that the sport had never seen before. TV ratings soared, attendance records were shattered. Merchandise sales went through the roof. Suddenly, everyone was talking about women's college basketball. Suddenly, young girls were dreaming of becoming the next Caitlin Clark. That's not just impact, that's a revolution. I remember talking to a colleague of mine, a longtime women's basketball coach, during Clark's junior year. He told me, "I've been coaching this game for 30 years and I've never seen anything like it. She's not just a great player, she's a cultural phenomenon." And he was right. Clark transcended the sport. She became a household name. She made women's basketball relevant in a way that no player before her ever had. And that, my friends, is a legacy worth celebrating. So if Caitlin Clark is so obviously great, so obviously impactful, why is the ESPN so reluctant to acknowledge it? That's the million-dollar question. And the answer, I believe, lies in a combination of factors: bias, agenda, and a desperate attempt to control the narrative. Let's be clear, ESPN has long had its favored athletes, its chosen stars. They invest heavily in promoting these players, building them up as the faces of women's basketball. But Clark's rise has disrupted that carefully constructed hierarchy. She didn't wait for ESPN's approval. She seized the spotlight on her own terms. And that, I think, threatened the established order. Now, instead of embracing Clark's success, instead of celebrating her achievements, ESPN seems determined to tear her down. They nitpick her game, they amplify her mistakes, and they constantly compare her to other players, always finding a way to diminish her accomplishments. Think about the way they covered the national championship game against South Carolina. Instead of focusing on Clark's incredible performance, she scored 30 points. They focused on Iowa's loss, on South Carolina's dominance. It's as if they're actively trying to rewrite history, to downplay Clark's influence, to pretend that she's not as game-changing as she actually is, and that, frankly, is insulting. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you never miss out. Click the video on the screen. See you.